Hello and welcome to the Azure Innovation Podcast. I'm your host, Ross Kennedy. In this podcast series, we speak to cloud-first companies, technology leaders, as well as influencers such as venture capitalists on all things innovation. Now, usually when we talk about Azure, we focus on products, architecture, services, and even technical aspects that companies will face when working through their cloud environment. But there's other aspects, the partnership side of the business that I think we should cover. And more specifically, it's the ISV partnerships, where Azure helps software vendors fulfill their cloud GTM. This includes selling on Azure Marketplace and creating better together story with Microsoft to reach new customers. Now, with me today is my very good friend, Nadav Tzuker from Wiz. Now, Wiz enables businesses and developers to securely build their apps at scale and speed of cloud computing. Apart from that, Wiz is also a longtime Azure customer, a top-tier Azure partner, and one of the strongest players in the marketplace today. We will dive into what Cloud GTM actually means and how Wiz and Microsoft work together to fulfill that vision. Welcome, my good friend and colleague, Nadav.
Thank you so much, my good friend Ross. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you. It's been about a year in my journey here at Microsoft, and so it's nice to get to circle back. It sort of feels like it's full circle. But why don't we dive right in, Nadav? We've got some really interesting things. Maybe we can start with what is it that Wiz does and what's the company's mission?
Great. Yeah. Super excited to, tell the audience about Wiz. I've been at Wiz for the last 2 years almost. It's been an amazing journey, and all because Wiz is, such a wonderful company that has been through so many great milestones. At the core of Wiz is a cloud security platform. So our mission is to enable companies to secure everything they build and run on their cloud environment. So Wiz basically took the more traditional cloud security solutions into what is called today CNAPP with a double P. That's Cloud Native Application Protection Platform. That's the new era of cloud security, if you want to call it this way. And with our solution, Wiz customers get a holistic view of their cloud environment. And together with the platform, they're able to actually identify what we call as toxic combinations. Basically combinations of different scenarios, impacted services, or security breaches on their cloud environment. And with Wiz, they can also remediate them as early as possible. In terms of the company itself, Wiz is a 4-year-old company. Started 2020, right when COVID hit, March 2020. So it was a very interesting time to start a company. At first, seemed very frightening, but eventually, when you look at it, retrospectively, been a very big catalyst to the Wiz growth and success. We have today over 800 employees globally, and the growth is just phenomenal. The company raised a little bit over $1 billion in those 4 years. And today we serve around 40% of the Fortune 100 companies and some of Azure's most strategic cloud consumers.
I think that my favorite thing, just being a big dog lover, is I remember just how dog friendly the office was. I think there might be one in almost every room, which is pretty amazing.
We actually have a chief dog officer. That's Mika. She's our CEO, Asaf's dog, and she walks around the office like a chief dog officer. You noticed that.
I know my next career move, so I appreciate that. I mean, Wiz is also an active partner in the ISV ecosystem that we've created. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about what that actually means to be a partner of Microsoft in that cloud sphere.
Yeah, totally. This is actually something I've been, advocating for such a long time, because I think there's a big gap and potential that customers or companies, more accurately, can actually leverage. And not all of them seem to fully understand what a partnership with a cloud vendor, and especially with Microsoft, what does that mean? So I'm really happy that you invited me over to talk about this and share the story of Wiz as a partner of Microsoft. So what? Let's take Wiz as an example. Wiz is what you would consider, like you said, a top tier ISV partner of Azure. Now, as a software vendor, partnering with Microsoft is part of what we call the cloud go-to-market that you discussed. How can companies like Wiz, for example, how can they build, market, and sell faster and more efficiently together with Azure? And that's basically leveraging the ISV ecosystem that Microsoft created for companies like Wiz. So people not always know that, but Azure offers ISV partners so many benefits in order to incentivize them to work together with Microsoft. That includes resources, funding, co-selling, which we'll probably touch a bit, marketing campaigns and motions, product strategy and integrations, and, way more that all fall in what we call the ISV partnership. And partners today manage all of these Microsoft, partnership aspects, and also a system that Microsoft created, which is called the MPC, the Microsoft Partner Center, where you basically work together with your Azure team, not only the account team, but another type of team that also was generated from this new, partnership ecosystem that Microsoft built, which is called the GPS, which is the Global Partner Solution. That's basically the Azure's, global partner organization. So if there used to be an account manager for you as an account, today, if you're a partner of Microsoft, you also have a partner development manager, a PDM, that helps you grow as a partner. So basically, being an ISV partner is leveraging all those different benefits and aspects, which we can maybe dive into in order to grow your business and support everything that you do today as a business. That's sales, marketing, product, strategy, all the way from the seller to the executives, and even investors, I think, should all be involved in what we call cloud go-to-market.
That's great, Nadav. I appreciate that. What other benefits do companies get from being an Azure ISV partner?
Yeah, so like we talked about earlier, the cloud partnership ecosystem is relatively new. So it's really, in the process of defining itself. There's no playbook. There's no best practices yet. I think it's something that's really evolving. But I tend to look at, cloud partnerships in 5 different pillars. That maybe helps, simplify, at least for myself, simplify what the cloud alliance with Azure actually means. So the first pillar maybe is less about the partnership itself, but, you as a customer. So, apart from everything we do with Microsoft, Wiz is also a huge Azure consumers, ourselves. And so if we're looking at, 5-10 years from now, Wiz is going to become a very fast growing and a very big consumer of the different Azure services. We want to make sure that we get, the right support and resources. We want to make sure our R&D, DevOps, IT organizations are satisfied with what they get from Azure. We want to make sure Azure is, satisfied with, the feedback that it gets from Wiz. And so this is also something that identifies, I think, the core relationship between the two companies that include, again, the partnership aspect and the customer aspect. So that's the first pillar of the relationship. The second pillar, I would say, is the marketplace pillar. So we talked about this. I won't dive deeper into that because we dedicated one question for it. But I think something that's really worth mentioning is the fact that marketplace is now, becoming more and more relevant for ISV partnerships, as most of the incentives that Azure reps get from working with ISVs like Wiz are for marketplace transacted deals, because, Azure and Microsoft in general are looking at, the Azure marketplace as a great catalyst for different businesses. And if we're looking at, industry numbers, the amount of deals and the revenue that's expected to run through the different cloud marketplaces by 2025 is going to be $50 billion. So that's a huge, increment in how much money is running through the Azure marketplace, and you want to be at the top of the line as an ISV. So that's the second pillar. The third one is marketing. Wiz currently has a dedicated partner marketing team that works closely with Azure or with Microsoft to leverage our Better Together story that we set for those different marketing activities. Think about everywhere you can put the Wiz and Microsoft logos together. That, of course, benefits Microsoft, but also benefits Wiz, as putting the largest company on the planet's logo together with anything you do on the marketing front is definitely a big catalyst. And so the different, motions that we can do, we do with marketing, co-marketing are, case studies, digital campaigns, webinars, joint webinars with Microsoft. Microsoft today has a lot of in-person or digital conferences that we take part in. So you want to, maximize the experience. There's dedicated strategic events that you can do together and many, many more. And in order to, to make sure those are being executed, Microsoft also has marketing funds that it offers for, ISVs or growing ISVs. So the more you invest in your, marketing partnership with Microsoft, the more you get, literally. And so you want to be at a place where you know how to leverage those different benefits and fundings that Microsoft today, suggests. The fourth pillar is something we did not touch, enough is the product part. So how can we align our product strategy with the Microsoft product strategy. And together with our product organization, our team of alliances, which is the team I'm part of, is responsible for creating a better together story with the different, Azure product stacks. So for example, at Wiz, we recently finished an integration with Microsoft Sentinel, which is a Microsoft security service in the world of information and event management. Now, instead of going head to head, Microsoft offers ISVs the opportunity to integrate with its different solutions. And also, once this integration is finalized, like with Microsoft Sentinel, you go into the go-to-market execution partner. So that includes blog posts that you can do together with the Sentinel team, social promotion, potential future webinars or sessions, or the sky's the limit whenever you have this product partnership story to tell. And the last pillar, the fifth one, is co-sell, which I think is the hardest to identify and the hardest to execute, but it's probably the most important, if we're looking at an ISV CEO. And so co-sell means how we can work together with the Microsoft, sales group, like a customer that we're trying to sell to has an Azure rep, for example, an account executive. How can we join forces in order to make sure this deal is complete for the benefit of the customer? So that goes all the way from, accelerating our existing pipeline of customers, of Azure customers, working together with Azure to make sure, this deal is actually finalized, and all the way up to once this relationship is established and we created joint, co-sell success stories together, let's try to create like a lead generating machine that will, at the end of the day, benefit our customers. So that's a win-win-win triangle where Microsoft is considered like the recommendation tool and the tool that, pushes the right solutions to the needs of the customer. The customer gets a good product like Wiz implemented, usually with also that's also affordable because we talked about the marketplace, and Wiz gets a customer. So, that's a win-win-win on the co-sell front. And I think those 5 pillars really represent the potential that customers, that companies can achieve today by joining forces with Microsoft and what is called a cloud partnership with Azure.
I love that. I appreciate that context. And I think you've hit on 2 very big pillars. When you think about your company that's trying to grow, there's essentially 2 critical pillars that Microsoft tries to focus on. One is creating that build with support, whether it's enablement or education or access to that innovation. And the second is new market reach, that go-to-market. On that go-to-market, on that reach side of the house, you guys have been a very strong player inside of our marketplace. In fact, almost one of the templates by which we would ask most companies to sort of follow, right? Expanding into new markets aggressively, winning lots of new market share through that marketplace reach. I wonder, when you think about it, why did Wiz make that decision, and sort of what keeps you so focused on marketplace success?
Sure. I'll start with our founders. Actually, they are all Microsoft veterans. So in 2015, Wiz founders, they go way back. They sold the company to Microsoft. It's called Adalog. Then Asaf, our CEO, became the GM of the R&D center here in Israel of Microsoft. So we had a little upside for us is the fact that our people came from one of the hyperscalers, which is Microsoft. So understanding the Microsoft business and ecosystem, and from that as a derivative, understanding the potential of marketplace was something that was maybe a little easier for Wiz to implement than other companies, but it was still a journey. I don't think a lot of people fully understand the potential of marketplace, and I'll try to maybe convey what it helped and how it helped Wiz grow. So today, Microsoft has its Azure cloud marketplace where basically companies can go look online for different I would call it SaaS B2B offerings, and actually purchase them through either a public offer, which we just go through the marketplace and click purchase, or through a private offer, which is a little bit more common, at least in our sphere, which is basically taking the public offering on the cloud marketplace and adjusting it towards what the customer and how the customer would want to pay. Now, maybe the core premise of why marketplace is actually so effective is that the fact that today Azure customers sign MAC agreements, which is basically a consumption commitment contract that is being signed usually for multiple years. Then after it's signed, customers can decrement, a percentage or the full amount of their commitments to purchase approved solutions like Wiz through the Azure Marketplace. Now, this basically opens a new billing mechanism that's, I think, the most popular one today and the most growing one today, which makes companies, ISVs like Wiz, go on the Azure Marketplace, put their listing on the Azure Marketplace. It used to be, as I see it, innovative companies that looked at this new billing method and said, okay, I want to be there. And today it's kind of compulsory. Like, you have to put your listing on the Azure Marketplace because at some point, one of your customers or maybe a lot of your customers will ask you, can I purchase you through the Azure Marketplace? That will, benefit my partnership with Azure. That makes more sense. That has, a lot of benefits in legal, accounting, etc. That makes me want to purchase you through the cloud marketplace. And you want to be at a position where you say, oh yeah, sure, I'll create a private offer. Let's connect your Azure team. Let's do that seamlessly, which also creates, a competitive advantage for you. And I think, Azure Marketplace, cloud marketplaces in generally, but specifically Azure Marketplace is really a game changer in the tech industry. Like, if vendors used to sell direct up until a few years ago, Marketplace is now changing everything. You want to be at a spot, like I said, where you move from being reactive, which is basically, having a Marketplace private offer and the customer, is looking to buy you through the Azure Marketplace, to becoming proactive, which is you go to the customer and say, I know you have a Mac in place. I know you have a good propensity to buy. Because I have a partnership with Microsoft, I work closely with your Azure team to finalize the deal that we're now working on. And we all agree that Azure Marketplace could be a good place for you to purchase Wiz. And if you don't know what this means, let's hop on a call and explain it to you. Usually the DevOps, IT, or the procurement team understand it. And it's something that we see changing. Like, if 2-3 years ago, most people did not know what it meant, like the decrementation that we talked about and the benefits of the Azure Marketplace. Now it's becoming more and more popular. And so you as a vendor want to be in a place, where you understand the benefits and you know how to utilize that. And this ad specifically for Wiz decided at a very early stage, like I said, we were able to convince our founders, where you should go. And we picked 100% Marketplace first strategy. It went all the way from our executives to the people in the field. And this had a huge impact on our business. Like, we moved most of our deals today, Wiz deals, moved through the Azure Marketplace. Through the different cloud marketplaces, but, Azure being a big number out of those. And this has not only, helped us cut our sales cycle by, I would say, 15 to 20%. I know Microsoft usually, says different numbers, but, anything that's over 1% in reduction of sales cycles, which saves a lot of money for customers and, of course, for companies, and of course creates a better service.
Can you explain to me, what does a cloud alliance manager do?
Totally, yeah, that's a good question. It's actually a new role, I would say. Like, I don't know a lot of I know. So in Israel, for example, I come from Tel Aviv. We wanted to start a community for cloud alliance managers like 2-3 years ago, and we just did not have enough people. You need enough people to start a community. 2 years later, which was exactly last year, we tried again. And by we, I mean myself and a couple of other alliance managers. And today we have over 200 people that are part of the community, active members. Again, only in one country, that's Israel. Only in one city, that's Tel Aviv, which is a city that has hundreds of ISVs that are very active and are, again, because this is new, are looking to improve how they do partnerships with Microsoft. And so again, it's really just defining, but basically a cloud alliance manager manages everything that I just spoke about, like every pillar that includes a cloud partnership. That's creating the daily relationships with the key personas at Microsoft, the partner teams, the GPS, the marketplace team, product teams, sales teams like Azure, account teams, the ATU, because they're at the end of the day working closely with our customers and basically connecting all those different dots, both externally with the partners, but also internally, because most teams, at most companies, again, as I mentioned, are not fully sure how they can work with Microsoft and who should they work with in order to execute what we just discussed. So that includes, connecting the different partner marketing pieces, like we talked about, the fundings, the conferences, the campaigns, the sales organization at the ISV at Wiz, we're working in order to connect them with the Azure ATU unit. So that's, in order to improve the co-sell process, marketplace, building those relationships, product. You want to connect between the different product teams. You want to manage, like again, Sentinel. This is a project. Someone needs to manage it both on the technical aspect, but also on the go-to-market aspect, and execute on those dots. And again, making sure all teams are part of this journey, like other teams that we didn't even touch, like finance, DevOps, engineering, executives. For example, Asaf, our CEO, he spoke with Charlotte Yerkoni about the Wiz marketplace journey. That's something that wouldn't be possible if we didn't have an owner to this relationship. So it goes all the way from managing those 5 pillars to enabling that within the organization and maintaining the relationship between the ISV and Microsoft.
I think you do a better job of articulating the overall value story about what it means to be a Microsoft partner than I've learned to. So I've been grateful for this download. If we focus on the AI side of the house for just a moment, how does this affect the ISV partnership strategy?
Yeah, it's actually right after my previous answer, it's a good transition, because I think AI now changes anything. Like every company today is trying to think of or already execute its AI strategy, both in terms of the product and also in terms of the strategy and the business. And I think we can maybe even call AI the 6th pillar of cloud partnerships, because it really affects everything. So it should also affect the relationship that we're building with Microsoft. Let's take Azure OpenAI, or OpenAI in general is probably the leader currently, and probably will be in the future of this Gen AI, transition that the tech industry is going through. Azure OpenAI currently, consists of product people, engineering, and also go-to-market people, like business people that are expected to grow the Azure OpenAI ecosystem. And one of the ways to do that is to join forces with an ISV. So, for example, Wiz and Azure OpenAI, there's two angles to the relationship. One is we are in Azure OpenAI. We will be in Azure OpenAI, hopefully a big consumer of Azure OpenAI. We want to make sure, we are in relationships with, the different product and go-to-market teams, because everything we do with our customers using Azure OpenAI could become a great story to tell, and could, enlarge this ecosystem that Microsoft is trying, to create. And on the other hand, our product could be served on Azure OpenAI, environments. So Wiz can also protect Azure OpenAI infrastructure for customers. So those two angles create this new, smaller but bigger partnership between Wiz and Microsoft. And so I think AI really changes the game, because ISVs both implement Gen AI solutions like Azure OpenAI, and both use them, use their product on Azure OpenAI environment, whether it's data, security, everything is at the end of the day going to be in that ecosystem. So at an early stage, which is now creating this 6th pillar of partnership, which is the AI story that we can tell together, I think really changes the industry and puts more benefits, more resources on this 6th pillar than maybe on the other ones that, were, controlling the narrative up until today.
Incredibly powerful. Thank you, Nadav. Those are some amazing insights. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to learn more about Azure services that will help you build your next generation AI apps, check out our website, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.